Good morning, students. I'm so excited to start this lesson today. It's real neat, and we'll get to go outside here in a little bit and look at some things. Can anybody tell me what your backyard looks like? It's grassy. You've got a slide. Well, I was thinking today, or this morning, how grassy and how I needed to mow my yard. It's so messy and grassy. I need to mow it down and it'll be all nice and short. Then I was thinking, our environment is so important to us. It's so important to us and how we cut it down. We don't really treat it right. But at the same time, we have to keep our environment clean, and we've got to make sure that it grows in the right way. So what can you tell us, what can you tell me about what kind of things do we look out for as far as East Texas? What things do we see most often? Trees, grass, dirt. That's right. Mountains. Mountains are on the east side of us. They're on the other side of the United States. But we don't see any mountains around here. I'm sad about that. But we do have a lot of trees. We see a lot of trees and a lot of grass. So I want you to watch this video, and it's going to explain how many different environments there are in the world.
Today we will talk about the different types of environments. What is an environment? An environment is a collection of all the animals and plants in a specific area of land or water. The first environment is called wetland. Wetland is an area where there is water and a bit of land. The second environment is called a desert. The desert is a dry area of land with plenty of sand and little to no water. The third environment is called grassland. Grassland is a large open area covered with grass. The fourth environment is called a forest. A forest is a large area covered with trees and plants. The last environment I will be talking about are oceans. An ocean is a large body of water that covers the majority of the earth. Can you tell me what type of environment you live in?
Can you tell me which environment you live in? Let's think. It's grassy. We said there was a lot of trees. So we can knock out wetlands and desert. So the only two left we had was grassy lands, and we had forests. Now, what's different about grassy and forest? Can anybody tell me? The forest has a bunch of trees and grass, but it also has different kinds of water. They have a lot more rain than we do. Here in the grassy part, we see more trees and grass and plants. Does anybody live on a pasture? Pasture is where there's land for a long ways, and it's a lot of grass, and you can see trees through it, and there might be some woods back there. It's a part of our culture. It's part of how we're different. How it's very different from the forest. Very different. There's different animals that come out of the woods that you don't see in the forest. Can you name me those animals? A coyote. Does a mountain lion kind of come out? Where do you see a mountain lion? In the mountains. That's right. Where would you see a monkey? Maybe in the forest. Maybe in a rainforest, maybe. Um, Different kinds of environments have different kinds of animals, and it's very important to know the importance and the difference between those animals and those environments. So let's think about the characteristics of living things. Characteristics kind of describe what those living things may look like, may be part of, may be put together, how they're put together. Can we think about characteristics of ourselves? Like, what does Miss Rachel look like? Blonde hair, short. Those are sorts of characteristics. Now we're going to watch a brief video, and I think you will love this video. It's actually really, really funny, and it tells you what kind of characteristics living things have, and you have to pay attention because we will go aside later on and we will look for those living things. So we need to know what their characteristics, what they look like, what they're made out of, or made of, so that we will know what to look for outside.
Hi everyone. How are you doing today? Hi there, Devin. How are you doing, John? Hello, Yusuf, Jay, Tabitha, and Emera. And let's not forget Ronaldo and Kevin. Are you ready to have a great day? Today we are going to talk about the characteristics of living things. So, let's start out with a chant that'll help us remember the characteristics of living things. What is a living thing? What is a living thing? Living things have cells and grow. They reproduce and have a genetic code. What is a living thing? What is a living thing? Living things use energy, maintain a stable internal environment, change over time, and respond to the environment. Let's dance. Okay, now let's see an example of a living thing. I wonder if a tree is a living thing. Does a tree have cells? Yes. The cells of a tree can be viewed under a microscope. This picture shows cells from a cork oak tree. Do trees grow? Yes. At one time, this oak tree was only a few inches tall. Now, it is a giant tree. Does the tree reproduce? Yes. These acorns are growing on an oak tree. One day, they may become giant oak trees. Does a tree have a genetic code? Yes. DNA can be extracted from a tree. Does a tree use materials and energy? Yes. A tree needs water, sunlight, carbon dioxide, and other materials. Does a tree respond to the environment? Yes. Many trees close their flowers at night. Do tree populations change over time? Yes. Tree populations are constantly changing. Does a tree maintain a stable internal environment? Yes. So, is a tree a living thing? Yes, it is. Trees are living things. Great job, class. Now you know the characteristics of living things. See ya.
So now that we know what kind of living things we can find outside, we're going to get up and line up, and we're going to go outside, and we're going to look outside what kind of living things we see and what environment we live in. What environment is our school in? Now, a little side note as far as the videos go, I would actually hook it up to the projector and project it on the screen, but since I couldn't do that, this would be the alternate way. And if I had no capabilities of a projector in our classroom, this would be the way to go as far as showing them and kind of just round the classroom like a read aloud for the book, show them. So this time we would get up and go outside. As far as transitioning, I would go over the rules as far as don't carry in any kind of objects or living things from outside. We don't want to hurt the environment. And I would explain how hurting the environment is pretty bad, and we need to keep it as it was before we went outside. So as we're going outside, I would be explaining those rules to them. Now we're outside now. What kind of things do you see out here, students? Trees, dirt, grass. Alright. Now think about it. Would we see a desert out here? No. Would we see oceans? No. Would we see a forest? No. We see trees. We see grass. What kind of weather conditions do you think we would have? We do have sunny, rainy. Yeah. In the desert, those conditions aren't as what we have. They don't get as much rain as we do. They're more dry. And those conditions are more west than us. They are towards Arizona. Remember our 4 cardinal directions. After the kids would kind of picture their thoughts about this environment, I would take them back inside into the classroom, and I would group them up with their sections as far as where they sit, and we would do this activity. I want everyone in your group to kind of think back to what you saw outside and write down some of those characteristics of our environment. I want you to put it in a web form. Remember we did this a while ago, last week. And in 5 minutes, we're going to come to the floor and share, and we're going to make a whole web for our class, for our environment. So I give them 5 minutes to do this guided practice. While they're doing that, I'm asking questions out loud, asking if we have polar bears in our environment, if we have mountain lions in our environment, do we have coyotes in our environment, do we have bugs in our environment. And while they're doing their guided practice, I'm also checking for understanding, making sure that they know that those animals are different from different environments. So after 5 minutes has gotten up, we will come to the carpet and we will discuss our answers. And I will post on the board, I will write on my dry erase board the graphing, and then I would put down their answers, and we would go over all their answers at the end of the guided practice and see how, explain how all these characteristics come to make up our environment. Now, since we've done our group activity, I want you to go back to your seats. I want you to think of everything you saw today outside. Did we see any birds flying? Are those living things? How about our environment? What's our environment like? Is it grassy? I want you to draw what you saw. Now, I don't want to see any mountain lions, and I don't want to see any tigers. I want to see what you saw outside today, and I want you to draw it. This is the time where I'd pass out drawing paper and markers, or they would get out their own markers, and they would draw this picture of what they saw. And after everyone was done with their picture, I would give them writing paper. and I would explain, saying, now that we drew our pictures, now I want you to think about how our environment is different than other environments. Our environment is grassy. Our environment is full of nature and full of living things. Our environment has many opportunities for rain and for sun. Explain what we have talked about in the last hour. I want you to write me a couple of sentences about how our environment is different than the other 3 environments we went over. And if I needed to alternate this assignment, I would just explain how I wanted them to write about what they saw today in our environment. But if everybody understood the assignment, we would go on to do what was different from all 3 of the other environments that the video talked about and we talked in class. And that's it.